And we're back with episode 29 of Rinkside. I am joyful to be joined with Chewie Canadian himself. Chewie, how you doing?
It's I'm doing okay. It's been a crazy past month, a little over a month since I was last on. So things are okay. Put up some of my new stream setup. We'll talk about that really quick. So obviously the Chewy Canadian still up there. My wife got me this right here super cool frame for a jersey, and I decided I needed a sick jersey to put up. So I'll turn this down a little bit, but one of the players I'm collecting, Anthony Mantha, got his signed jersey. So he signed it in the middle of the 9. At the top, it's his draft. So 2013, 20th overall, and then dated his first NHL goal on it as well. So it's pretty sweet. Got the Mantha cards up top. You can see his name there. So things are going good with that as I fix this. And hopefully I'm not crooked. And yeah, other than that, just been busy with work, the kids. I'm happy to say my kids haven't missed daycare for being sick for the whole month. That's
Uh,
like a huge accomplishment. The whole month we've got our daycare's worth, and I'll quickly show off one card right here today. We've got this Andrei Svechnikov, so he's on the Carolina Hurricanes. So it's a signed card. He's number 37, and there's only 37 of these cards out there. If you see, right there at the bottom, it says 37 out of 37. So this is the 37th card printed that he signed. So it's kind of cool, his number, the number of card kind of thing. And yeah, that's pretty much been my life. How's everything going with you, Potty?
wow, Chewie, that sounds. Thanks for sharing all that, and what a cool like card you got there as well. 37 at 37. The penthouse is going well. I don't have nearly as much to catch up our audience on, but the I have been playing Monster Hunter Rise. It got released on Xbox Game Pass. I'm a longsword main. If anybody wants to throw down and hunt some monsters, you can hit me up. Chewie, you ever play that game?
No, it's called Monster Hunter.
Yeah, Monster Hunter. Yeah, Monster Hunter, and this is the Rise. It's
Okay.
it's real sweet. It takes some like getting used to. It's kind of like so instead of like in an open world where you would like move around, there's more of like certain maps, and then within those is like different ecology that you can use to your advantage. There are these quests where you like pick up, bones or like honey or ore, and these are like optional side quests. But the main like element of the game is that you hunt down a monster, and there's like all these different
Okay.
types. There's like dragon monsters. There's like electric monsters, and you hunt them down, and then you harvest them, you scalp them, and you take their skin and their pelts, and then you use that to like upgrade your armor and upgrade your weapon, and then you get
Okay.
progressively harder monsters. So yeah, so it's a pretty sweet game. um
Interesting. I
yeah.
think one of my online friends was talking about that. I think they played that quite a bit. It sounds very familiar, but I haven't played it myself. I don't know if you're a Harry Potter guy, but I don't know if you know this. In about week and a half, the game of the year possibly is coming out in Hogwarts Legacy. Have you seen that or watched any videos on it?
Oh yeah, definitely. And the thing that excites me the most is you could be like a dark wizard. Like I want to cast the Avada Kedavra spell. I want to like kill
Oh
people.
yeah, I think everybody does. That's like all the I don't know if you watch TikTok, but that's like the trend on TikTok right now. Everyone's just like, oh, that one kid in class that look gives me a dirty look is getting that spell kind of thing. Uh, but I've learned. I was watching a ton of videos, so apparently you won't be able to cast the Avacadabra spell on like your fellow classmates.
Oh,
There's no friendly fire kind of thing. I think you can only do that like versus enemies or in like the dark arena or whatever. So I think a lot of people will be disappointed they can't just like Voldemort their way through the game.
yes.
But yeah, me and my wife are super excited. We started watching the Harry Potter series last weekend, So we've watched episodes 1 and 2, or movies 1 and 2, and yeah, we're gonna go watch all those movies before the game comes out and get
Oh,
like in the zone for it.
awesome. My girlfriend and I just watched all of them. It's a magical journey. Even when you get to the train station, like late, like all the way down the line,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I'm still super salty. I never got my Hogwarts letter when I was 12. That was like my biggest disappointment when I turned 12. But actually, really quick before we get started with the episode, have you watched the new show The Last of Us on
Yeah.
HBO?
Yes.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you caught up? Are you like have you
No.
watched the third episode?
No, I've watched the first one, and to be honest, I was kind of scared, and I'm like, should I? I've played the game, and I've beaten it, and I'm pretty sure it's on the hardest difficulty, and so I know what's in store. But like, um, I'm just, I don't know, I'm a wussy, Sometimes.
All right. Well, if it makes you feel better, I was too scared to finish the game, but I'm watching the show.
Okay.
So the show isn't too bad right now, but oh man, the third episode was like probably one of the greatest episodes in like it'll probably go down as one of the greatest episodes in TV history.
Oh wow.
So it's yeah, it's a super dope show. If anyone hasn't seen it, HBO. It's called The Last of Us, based off the PS4 or PS game. It's such a good show. They've picked the perfect actors, I think, for like each character. But anyways, yeah, that's enough about us.
Yeah, enough about us. Let's hear a little bit about Gold. But I will say, like that actor in the show, I forget his name, but he's like the boss. Isn't he the one that's in the not
He's
Bob?
Mando.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mandalorian.
he's
Yeah,
Mandalorian. Yeah,
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 hell
yeah.
yeah.
Me and my wife were trying to figure it out. We're like, man, he looks so familiar. Where is he from?
And he's like the DEA agent in Narcos as well, right?
Oh, I haven't watched
Javier
Narcos.
Pena. Pena.
I'm not sure. I don't think I've seen that, so I don't know. But yeah, he's a solid actor.
Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, um, we've got a legit show in store. We're not even going to tell you what's in store. Just keep watching. All right. So let's move along. What do we got here but our season 6 up to date live? This is, just screenshotted live rankings from season 6. Chewie, can you walk our audience through here?
Yeah, so today sorry, fixing my headphones. Today we're breaking down each conference standings. So just because I'm still getting used to it, I'm sure everyone else is still getting used to the new divisions and conferences with the relocations. We'll go through. So we got the Rocket standings. So this includes the Pacific and the Central divisions. Up top, we got last year's reigning first place in the regular season, Alaska Arctic Wolves. They're right now 5-0, and I believe they just finished beating Jacksonville. I ended up turning it off, but I know they were playing Jacksonville. I don't know what the score was. Next up, we got Las Vegas, another team that you'll see up there all season with 9 points. And then you got the middle of the pack. This is where it's going to get interesting this year. You have San Diego, who's sporting a nice third place with a game at hand. Tied with Honolulu. They just have the better goal differential. So Honolulu with 5 games played, 6 points. Both of these teams, looking to make a jump this season with a couple playoff teams from last year starting off slow. Tennessee as well, who missed the playoffs just barely. They're right in it, 4 points, tied with Albuquerque and Redwater. Just a little bit of a goal differential. And then North Bay, they may struggle this season just based off how their offseason went, but they have the win locked up. They'll be looking to hopefully not be at the bottom, but make some moves this season because they have a great goalie in Lashinger who can really shut down top teams.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go down to the Mr. Hockey standings. Up top, you got Pawtai's very own Miami Maccabees. They've started off hot. I don't think a lot of people were suspecting this after having a offseason where they've lost quite a few players but brought in quite a bit as well. Seems like they're meshing from the start. So yeah, you got Miami up top, 16 points. We got Copenhagen in second with a little asterisk because they have 2 games extra inputted. So I think Jacksonville will be a lot closer. Turku as well will be closer to them in the standings after today. But tied for third, you got Jacksonville, Turku, and the big one to watch this season is Boston. They arguably had one of the best off seasons out of any team last year. They've brought in a ton of defense and upgraded their forwards. So they're doing a lot better than last season, but they still have a very, very tough division and conference, as you can see with the top 4 playoff teams from last year still up there. Norfolk, they as well have been doing pretty decent. And then Florence and Rome. Florence, I don't know what's going on with them. They arguably had a great offseason, but as you guys saw today, as we're recording this, they just choked against Las Vegas. I think they were up 4-0 or 4-1. And then in the third period, Las Vegas came back with a 5-4 win. So I'm not sure. Squibbs, I think, needs to focus on the strategies at this point. He's worked free agency as much as possible. I don't think you can upgrade your players anymore. I think at this point you just got to learn the game and be able to counter teams, because I don't think you'd want to miss playoffs after bringing in players like Twin Screw, Trev, McChuckles, Moon. You've upgraded your lineup everywhere, so you can't be having a season like this again.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of, like, in your perspective of having looked at previous rankings, and if you could split these conferences into halves, do you think that there's going to be movement from like the bottom half to the upper half? Do you think it's anyone's game, or do you think that like typically the people in the top half stay in the top half?
Yeah, I really thought this season would be the season where you see a lot of movement, and I still think you might. You seeing with the new game and all the added strategies. Some teams started off slow, like Jacksonville lost their first 2, I believe. Copenhagen lost 2 last week as well. Turku, I think, lost 2. Like, a lot of top teams didn't start off hot. It was only 1 week out of the 13, though, so it's very tough to say. I'd say for the Rocket standings, I'd see a lot of movement, especially with like the 3rd and 4th place. I think like between San Diego and Redwater, those 5 teams will all be fighting for 2 playoff spots. I think Alaska and Las Vegas are good enough where they'll be able to coast through the season. I don't think they'll have too many problems. The Mr. Hockey, I think it's going to be a little tougher because you have 4 very, very good teams still up there. Personally, like, no offense to you, Potty, I didn't think Miami would start off this hot, but like I said before, but Florence, like, strategies go a long way. So Miami being at the top, you could see that all season, or you could see it slowed things down, or things slow down as the season levels out. But I don't know if Boston's ready to make the jump. They could this season, pending one of these teams, going through a really rough losing streak. Florence, they could be another team that makes the jump, but I don't think Norfolk and Rome are a playoff team just yet. So I would say if anyone, Boston and Florence could make a push, but I don't know if I see it with the Mr. Hockey conference this year.
Sounds like it's it's lots of different routes forward. But appreciate you sharing and breaking this down. I hope we can bring this same perspective. I think the whole idea of splitting these into 2 different parts, conferences makes a lot of sense, and it puts things in perspective. Maybe we can move on over to our minors. Here we've got oh wait. Oh yeah, we did. Okay. So I guess these haven't been updated, but we've got Sydney at the top. Or you want to break this one down too, Chewie?
No, you got this one. Go for it.
Okay, I'll try to walk in your footsteps here. We've got Sydney at the top with 3 points overall, and then we've got in close succession Iceland, Tokyo, and Warsaw all tied up, and then Berlin, Beijing, and Malmo all with 1 point. We've got Wellington at the bottom. It's really anyone's. I understand that after this was like updated, I believe Sydney lost to another team. So I believe it was Iceland. So there may have been some, changes in the rankings. But I think in the minors, what you can see is the teams that win are the teams that retain their players, that keep them engaged to progress, and are ones that are, it's really about retention and engagement, and having the strongest, fullest roster then supports, the execution of the strategies and lines and all that. But if you have holes in your roster, it makes it extremely difficult. So investing in those people relations is what we're looking for. But we're actually going to have Captain Wicked coming on to, he's a coach in the minors, and he'll be coming on to, talk about, his experience so far. So I'm going to move on from the minors to actually our stats category. Chewy, we were thinking about looking at the hits leaders. You think, and
Yeah,
the what the other
yeah.
one?
Let's look at. We can look at hits and penalty minutes. I
Yeah.
think those are two worth talking about. We'll start off with the hits. So, just a, I guess, asterisk disclaimer kind of thing. You're seeing in NHL 22. I don't know if a lot of people noticed, but you saw a lot of very light hits in the game where you almost felt like uh, that should have been a hit, but the game doesn't register it as a hit. This season, you're seeing a lot more big hit animations where you're hearing the hit, sound go off. Players are getting injured. I think a lot of teams are realizing durability, endurance, and balance are all playing a huge part this year. You already see 22 hits from players like Constantine, 21 from Britain, 20 from Koza. Like you're 20 hits into what almost like a week and a half. When last season you kind of finished off at like 100 and a bit hits. I think the league leader in hits was like 110 or something. So you're already like a fifth the way there, and you're a week and a half in. So if you're doing that math, you got like uh what's four more, like times that by four. I guess it'll be pretty close, but I think you'll see a lot of hits records broke this year,
Mm-hmm.
which also leads into the conversation that I'm sure most owners are annoyed with, but the penalty minutes this year. You've seen a ton of penalty minutes from teams, and I think a lot of people were frustrated with it last week. The league ended up making a decision and a vote with the owners to lower every single penalty minute slider by 5. So essentially, it goes down 5. Like the frequency goes down about 5%, let's say, just to see where we're at, because Escola did some math. I think last year we averaged 6 penalty minutes per game, 6 point something penalty minutes per game. This season, after week 1, we're averaging 13. So just over doubled. Obviously, that includes hits and misconducts and stuff. So it's a little skewed, but if you look at it, you're almost doubled the penalty minutes. So the sliders have gone down 5%. I don't think will make that much of a difference. So again, I think you're going to see the penalty minutes records broken this year by quite a bit. So these will be two to keep an eye out. Penalty minutes not necessarily the greatest thing to break a record for, but this could make or break some teams, especially if they don't have a great penalty kill, and lower teams can take advantage on the power play. Have you
Mm-hmm.
noticed anything in the first couple weeks on your end with hits and penalty minutes, Potty?
I can touch on that in a second. I did make one observation here in hits. If you look at forwards to defensemen, there's like 10% of them. Brett Solberg is the only forward on the hits leaderboard. Whereas
Yeah.
in penalty minutes, it's actually a 60-40% split. So 60% of the players are actually forwards, whereas 40% of them are defensemen. So, an interesting little tidbit there. In
Yeah.
regard,
So
Mhm.
just sorry, before I'm going to cut you off really quick. You can finish. Uh, in regards to that, you're seeing a lot of slashing penalties. That would be
Oh,
the big one. So rather than the holding and charging penalties this year, in NHL 23, the poke checking or the stick checking attribute was kind of nerfed, let's say. So you're seeing a ton more slashing. So that's why you're seeing a bunch more forwards. So this season, stick checking and discipline will be two huge attributes for forwards. But go on.
Wait, and what were those two? Stick checking and
Stick checking. So stick checking affects the speed and accuracy of poke checks and stick lifts. And
hmm,
then discipline. Oh, you just saw the penalty minutes
yeah.
update live. That's awesome. And discipline, of course. And like we touched on last season, body checking for the hits. So I think stick checking, discipline, and durability are three attributes that people will change their mind on this season. I know I have already. So
Hmm. Interesting. Well, maybe we'll look into that in the future if we've done some research and it proves, scholarly and, worthy of our viewers here. And in my experience, like, uh, I think Voodoo is leading our team in forwards on hits, which I think is, I don't remember what he did last season, but was invested in that. So, good for him. More than me right now. And I think that it's like interesting for like a player that, is like that to be able to do things. So either way, I thought it was cool to kind of look at these things. I'm now going to turn us over to our plays of the week. And Chewy, just a heads up, you're not going to be able to hear anything. So let's go.
Rinkside top 5 plays of the week. The Miami Maccabees are moving the puck around to find Bacon on a forehand shot back door. At number 4, we have the Jacksonville Vipers with a dump and chase play. Dog coming down the center picks the puck backhand forehand for a beautiful goal on Vegas. At number 3, we have another Miami Maccabee highlight where you see them put a lot of pressure on Copenhagen, cycling the puck around, getting Pawtai out front for a beautiful fireside shot. Coming in at number 2 is a Vipers odd man rush where they get a shot off, leaving enough time in the slot for Rab to come on down for a backhand beautiful goal against Las Vegas. Coming in at number 1 is a 2-for-1 special brought to you by Las Vegas Sinners and Blaze Henderson. First goal, beautiful shot to the top right. Not too often you see 2 goals in 7 seconds by the same player. For the second goal, you see Vegas with a similar overload rush on the Vipers. The centerman comes down with the puck, finding Henderson out front for another fireside goal.
All right, and that wraps up our plays of the week. So I'm going to move us over to our interview with Captain Wicked. And we are here with Captain Wicked himself. Let's take it back to, 1 month, 17 days. It's draft day. You're just about to get drafted. How's it going and what's going through your mind?
I guess it was a little bit stressful. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've never lived the experience of getting drafted like in real life. So like living through the draft, like I was a bunch of coaches or GMs. I know you guys reached out as well. I think Parker reached out for Miami to myself, and just answering questions, being honest with them, and like talking to them about like who I am as a person. Like I don't want to lie to you guys. I'm not gonna make a fake profile because I'm online. I'm always gonna be the same way. So I guess I was a little bit stressed. I just figured out like who I'm gonna play with. Like I wanted to be faithful to the team that drafted me. Like Honolulu drafted me, and I'm giving them my 100%, and I fully intend on staying there for a long time to come. And which came into like the coaching job with Berlin and all that stuff, which came into it. And then I really enjoyed talking to Evan. I had a like mid interview. I texted Squibs. I'm like, hey, I know you're looking for people to talk to. Feel free. Like I'm not a shy guy. I like to talk and stuff like that. So I'm like, perfect. Let's just have a good time and talk about it at draft day. And I was pretty pumped about that. And it was a big draft for you guys this year, right?
Oh yeah, big draft year for us as well. We were going through the process, and it was, I had to hop on that show as well. And I gotta be honest, like it was kind of nerve wracking knowing a lot of people are watching you and listening to you. So I had a lot of respect for you, kind of going in that. You talked about your, conversation with Evan. Like, what was significant about that? Why'd you enjoy that?
I guess it's just in real life, it's my everyday life. If I want something or I like something, I just go out there and do it. I just talk to anybody, and I just like put myself out there and just being able to like help them out as well. Like it's which came into like me doing like team of the week, me doing stat stuff, just like helping the guys, doing all the hard work. It's which is one of my values, I guess, in life. And so I just like, yeah, I'm gonna go in and really enjoyed it. It was a great experience. And then when you reached out to have this podcast, which I thought was a cool idea. More than happy to talk to you about my experience in goals, my experience in life, and other sim leads. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, so appreciate that as well. So let's take a 10,000 view, or step back and like look at, the man, the myth, the legend, Captain Wicked. Like, what's in a name? How did you get the name? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, so I don't have any great cool stories like Squibs has, or I was listening to other podcasts, I'm like or Twins Crew and all that stuff. I was a 10-year-old kid. I made a little Xbox gamer tag, and it came out Wicked Capt. So I'm Canadian. We don't really use the word wicked. So I just thought it was a really cool word. I'm like, oh my God, we don't use that. I'm gonna use that. I love it. And now joining this sim leagues when I play ESAHL or CHL, anything like that, I want to flip it because I want people to see the word wicked when they like I have the puck. So I just flipped them up and hence became Capt Wicked.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Absolutely.
throw a little Uno card on you. Why is your name Pawtai? Or I always mess it up, but I don't know how to say it. So feel free
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
correct
It's
me. And
it's potty, like kind of like
okay,
it's like kind of like potty, like you're taking your dog to go
okay,
potty, or like a party with just like no R. I'm gonna see if like people can even see this on the screen. It may not be.
okay,
So like this is basically this app that I built,
okay.
and it's called Potty. And what it does is it keeps track of like when your
Mm-hmm.
dog eats food or like goes to the bathroom, and it's like a Facebook timeline or like a Twitter feed for your animal for the rest of its life. And it basically, the way it works is, and I'll be transparent here, man, it's a peculiar app because you got to like go in there and enter whenever your dog takes a shit or like goes pee or you feed it. But here's
Yep.
the thing is like, if you believe in your pet, here's my sell is we collect this data, and what we do is we work with a data science team to be able to unlock, patterns that emerge from the consumption and like going out of your pet, and we'll be able to prolong the life of your pet if you use this app and you believe in us in the long-term future. So that's my sell.
Awesome.
It's kind of like pet immortality, and it starts with just that's where the name came from. So
That's
moving on.
awesome. I had
Mhm.
no idea. It's a really good story. Nice to hear about it. More than happy if you want to talk about that app more. Feel free to DM me to talk about it more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, appreciate that. So you mentioned goals. Like, is this the what brought you into this league? Is this your first sim league? How's the experience going?
So yeah, I guess this is my first sim lead. Nobody brought me in. Like I know nobody in this server like in real life. I was playing ESHL one night and I'm like, I need to figure out how to get better at this game. So I'm gonna hop on Twitch and watch streamers play. First one I see is goals. They have the most viewers. I'm like, perfect. I'm gonna watch these guys play. They know what they're doing. And I'm like, what am I watching? Like I've never heard of sim leads before. I did fantasy sim leads, but not with like you make your own player and stuff like that. It was more like, oh, I'm gonna draft Brady Kachuk and make him play on the second line and stuff like that. So I started talking to Squibs and Evan that night. And I was like, perfect, send me the Discord. I'm going to go in. I'll see what happens. And I really fell in love with the concept. I think it's a cool thing. I studied in sports management. So this whole thing of creating our own league and being managers, coaches, players, living that lifestyle, maybe not getting along with your coach, you're not playing enough ice time, you don't like who you're playing with, you're not shooting the puck enough. I don't stuff like that, which you see in any professional organization. You kind of see it here. So I really fell in love with the concept. And then after that, I joined a soccer league, a football league, a NASCAR league. I even found a golf league. I'm a big golfer during the summer, and I just really fell in love with the whole concept.
How do you keep track of so many different like iterations of yourself in these simulated universes?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I try to stay true to myself. Like so, example in golf. I'm a good iron player, so I follow my irons on that play. I don't have to figure out what I want to be. In goals, I played defenseman. I'm 5'11". You know, I was quick with the puck. I was able to shoot the puck often, so I was offensive defenseman. So like just not creating stuff and trying to be as true as I can to myself. And the pains help a lot for progressions. Like I know Chewie's always the one in Berlin or other leads. I think Sam does some and stuff like that. So just having the pains and just being aware, like, hey, I have to progress today. That's awesome. And I just really enjoy that.
So are you saying that you use the same like dimensions in your players across all of your leagues?
Yep, I try to just create myself as much as I can. Like
So, and
in baseball,
those are real dimensions for yourself.
maybe not the hockey one because they had that
Okay,
all
okay.
archetype type difference, but like I'm not. Well, it's actually really close. I'm 5'11", 210, and I think I'm like 5'11", 198
Yeah, there we go.
and for goals, just because that's how it happened. I wanted to have a small, fast guy, but like anywhere else where it's not archetype based on height and weight and all that stuff, I just stay 100% true to myself.
Yeah.
How about you? Like, do you have any other leads that you go in or
Yeah,
play
and
or?
yeah, so Bulls, and then SFL. That's where the DC Dragons. I'm the kicker for
Okay.
the Dragons. I really, I watch the football games every week. It's like I enjoy that more than unless I'm betting on like actual football.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
I feel
watching
yeah.
actual football.
Yeah.
I'd prefer watching the SFL. I love that. And I'm also part of PXF.
Okay.
Project and
Yeah.
quarterback for the 49ers. So
Nice.
that's like a really fulfilling experience, but coached by Trunan or owned by Trunan. And
Mm,
like, it's cool because in the SFL, I'm a kicker, which I like because it's, you go out 8 times a game.
yep.
And, whereas with the quarterback, you're like always on the screen, but, just trying to build the player that like wins the team the championship is like ultimately always the goal.
Yeah, of course. Like, there's always that aspect to like I didn't know in goals like stick handling was a big thing. I'm like, I'm gonna go speed match, stick checking, passing, and then I'll get to the rest. And then when I got drafted by Honolulu and talking to Bobby and all of them, they're like, no, 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 get your stick handling up. You'll lose the puck every 2 seconds. And I'm like, no way, it's not true. Then started watching the game and understanding the concept of sim leads really helped me grow as a player as well.
Hmm. Yeah, having that balanced perspective that you can only really acquire from like the elders, the ones that have
Mhm.
like been here and like part of that league. That's why goals is such like a rich and fulfilling league is like because there's so much to be able it's very inclusive to be able to at all levels of like wanting and desire of involvement
Yeah.
to be able to find direction or just like the bare minimum, whatever floats anyone's boat.
100%. Like one of the things I really appreciate about this league is there's something for everybody. Guy like me, extrovert, likes to talk, always chatting in the Discord. It's perfect. Someone that just wants to watch the games, progress as player, and like not pay attention to what all the socializing. There's that as well in goals. So I just really like the flexibility of it all.
Yes. You asked like what other leagues I'm in. The only other one is this like CSBA that I think Squibs invited me into. I don't know. It was a basketball league and you had to pick a
Okay.
player and like I did Michael Jordan and then I never got assigned to a team. But I'm pretty sure
It happens, right?
I did everything I needed to. But other than that. So yeah, so that's what we got. So tell me about your experience coaching. Like you studied in sports management. What does it feel like to like do coaching?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know if I want to coach for the rest of my seasons on goals. Just as I carry too much weight on my shoulders. Like I'm watching the game and I'm like, oh, I didn't put that at a 7. It should have been an 8. And then I'm rewatching the game and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'd much rather have the aspect of like, hey, I want you to be on my team. Let's try and me and recruit you and like GM a team rather than coach one, so I can get that whole back end of things and like trust someone on my team to coach. I'll be honest, as soon as I actually figured out what coaching was, like setting lines, I have no problem with and stuff like that. But then the strategy, user plan, that stuff, like it process every week. Decide self and heart, which are all the assistant captains for Berlin. We have a group chat, and I made a separate Excel spreadsheet, and I take notes on, like, since in the minors there's only goals and assists, you don't have all the extra stats to look at. We take our own stats and our own notes after each game, put it in there, and then base our stats off that for the next week. So if you're gonna ask me if I do it on my own, no, I do it with lots of help. I don't know if you do it yourself. I know you have Parker with you. Anybody else that helps you on Miami?
Well, I'll say it's all a team effort in the end. And there's this concept of leadership known as the umbrella. And like when it comes to a team, like a great leader, if it's rain and shit, like a leader, doesn't open the umbrella above themselves, they open and cover their team.
Yep.
And so when we lose, it's my fault, but when we win, it's the team's winning. So like
I fully understand that.
That's the philosophy. And what I can say from like experience is in the minor leagues when I played, I came up with, or in partnership with people, we developed a set of strategies that worked. And when they worked, we didn't change them. So yep. I don't want you to burn out on like, putting in too much involvement. And, sometimes, the other thing is if you change things consistently without remaining some parts of them the same, it's like hard to like scientifically say, did this affect this? Was this a variable when you have so many different influences? So that's
I fully understand
my
that.
advice.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind for sure, and I'm sure I'll tell the guys to come and watch this episode as well, just to see if get your input on it. You've been around the league a lot longer than I have. I've been here, I don't even know, 2 months, maybe max, like maybe a little more than that. So of course I'll take that in consideration. And you're right, I have to just pay attention to it's a long process, right? If you're a losing week, you still make playoffs. If you have more winning weeks than you have losing weeks, so I just have to keep that in mind.
So thinking of not just your team, but the league as a whole, the minor league system, you are, tell me about your involvement in the team of the week.
Yeah, so that was I was talking to Evan and I think Chewie, someone involved, one of the big guys, I call him the big bosses, about helping out with stats and stuff. And being in the minors and seeing that almost all the teams are full, I think might expand next year, the season after that, because I think I have 2 spots left in the minor leagues and some other teams as well. So if you go, in case we don't grow into another expansion, which means our minor league system is going to be crucial to keep the players involved. So like I was just thinking, what are the little things we can do? Doesn't take much time. I can do it myself, or Evan can do it. And I really like what Sturvey was doing with the team of the week. So I'm like, if we have week per week stats, it's easy for me to sit down, figure out who has the most points per position, put them in a little fancy post, write about them, how they had a great week, and just get them more involved at like the grassroots levels, I call them. Like, for minor league is the low. It's the future of the league, right? Like we're season 6 now, so we have some players that are going to start to regress soon, right? So these guys are going to start coming in, and then the players regressing going to in the minors, and it's a whole system, which I really love, the progression system. So just thinking about that, I'm like, that's a simple thing we can do. It's a team of the week, not too hard. I can ask Sturvey for help, Evan for help, and then Evan accepted the first one, and he's like, perfect, just roll with it for the rest of the weeks. If you need any help, just let me know.
Excellent. Well, it's been noticed. I think it's really effective and brings in a lot of, positive structure that basically builds platforms to give exposure to people that play well and being involved in the game.
Yeah, because I was talking to Evan, and I think he was saying that minor league team of the week was a trial and error. Like it would go for 3 weeks, and it would stop, and go for 3 weeks, and it would stop. Well, I don't see myself making any pro roster anytime soon. So I'm like, hey, I'll take over, no problem. I'll do it for a couple seasons. If we have to get more people involved, no problem, and we'll go from there. And then I gladly took the responsibility, and even if by miracle I crack a pro roster, I'll still do the team of the week. I have no problem doing that.
Well, that's very generous. And best of luck to you. We talk about the rinkside bump, so you never know, when it might, help you out. But you do a lot for the league. You're also a member of the stats team. Tell me about that, and then also tell me about how people can get involved in it.
I think they're always asking I say the big guys, but Chewie, Doug, Squibs, Ani, any of them, if how to help out, it's always needed. Or even just your team, like, hey, let's say you play your affiliate for Rome, maybe they're looking for some help in social media, maybe they're looking for help for uh, their own strats as well, or anything like that. Even the minor league system, if they want to pop a new Twitter, there's millions and millions of possibilities in this league. It's just how much work that people are willing to put in will decide how big it grows or where the activities go or and stuff like that. So I just say reach out, feel free to send me a message to myself. I can point you in the right direction. I know I'm still starting. Like I don't want one of the big roles yet. I'm just doing behind the scene work. I'm a little ghost input in stats during my work day because I work in front of my computer all day. It's nothing for me to grab 10 minutes and input stats for 2 games and then keep going.
Yeah,
Did I lose connection for a second?
you did. You became a ghost. It just looked
Okay.
like this ice. But
Okay.
but you came back in perfectly fine, so we're all good here. Uh,
Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what you guys caught or didn't caught, but
no, we got all of
um
it. I hear your audio is clean, so it's all good.
oh, perfect. Okay. So perfect then. I'll leave my train of thought there because I don't know where I was going. So if you
Well,
had
well,
anything to add or any questions on that.
yeah, no, we can park the train of thought at the station and kind of like look back on the journey that you've had and like what are any like closing thoughts or shout outs you'd like to make?
I don't know, shout outs, maybe not. Like maybe like I don't really like Scribs or Evan, so just putting that out there. Okay, that's I guess my shout out is that I'll chirp him. We're always in the behind the scenes and chirping about anything. So they wouldn't really like it if I don't give him a little chirp. So they're not really nice. Their team sucks and go Honolulu. Those are my shout outs.
Damn, some there we go, man. That's quite the opinion. So let's take a gander at the future ahead. So you've been here for
Yeah.
2 months. If you could see the league in 5 years from now, where do you think it'll be?
So I've watched a bunch of episodes. I've listened to Doug talk. I listened to like a Creed talk and all of them. And I think their goal is to have 32 teams, have a full team. I wish them that. And if I can help them get there, sign me up. I'll help them get there. I think next year we need to grow a little bit, like I said earlier. So like let's say we have a few players I know on the Berlin team that might not crack the Alaska roster or the Honolulu roster, but will be in the minors for 3 or 4 years, and they're really doing well. I know like Kovalev had the 4 points yesterday, and so did Jones, and so did Payne. So if those guys can crack a roster in an expansion team where we separate the talent, I think it would really help grow the league. Just a little bit at a time. We can't grow from 16 teams to 26 teams, and it's going to be too much work and too much time. I think if they grow gradually, a couple teams each season, it's going to be good for the league. But again, that's just one man's opinion. So if you guys have better ideas, I suggest you guys go for it. How about you? What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, it's a hard and long road ahead. I had this
Mm-hmm.
5 million user prediction, but now I think that's kind of outrageous. I don't know how many hockey you I think I need a little more basis like into what is the global hockey fan population, probably, within English or like whatever subtitle, like whenever we're announcing
Yeah.
games, I I think maybe that could expand a little bit, where you get more people like talking through the games. Because if you had people that are streaming it and then also had people that are like broadcasting on top of it, then
Mm-hmm.
it adds a different layer. Then it's more like goals is a platform and like different things connect to it, like broadcasting, merchandise, technology, progression system, all of these things. And then you kind of like build something that people attach to. So I don't know. I think it's something like that, but in more finite terms, probably, yeah, like 32. You said 32 teams? Yeah.
Yeah, 32 teams. It's what the
Yeah.
NHL has, but
Yeah. Yeah, I
it's a
think
good
so.
goal. But I think it's also a long-term goal, like maybe a 5-year goal,
Yeah.
and not like a 2-season goal. Um, I know the guys behind it are putting lots of work. Like Chewie's not here. I know he's doing lots of work in the back. Like all these guys, I know I keep repeating the same name, or even the head coaches or the GMs of each team. I know they're doing a lot of backhand work, and I'm sure if they put their heads to it, they'll be able to do it.
Yeah, I believe in it as well. Well, Wicked Captain, let me send you on out. It was great having you on the show
Perfect.
this evening. And we'll definitely have you on again. Who knows? Maybe there's like some certain special content you might be able to make. I think you're a
Yeah, no
brilliant
problem.
mind. All
Thank you,
right.
and you as well. I really enjoyed the show, and I'll leave by saying sorry, Scribs. I didn't wear a suit and tie like you did on draft day. I didn't know my face was on the show today. I apologize for that, and I'll leave it like that.
There we go. All right. See you then. All right. And we're back from our interview with Captain Wicked. That was a wicked conversation. Chewie, you got any closing thoughts for our audience this evening?
No. Well, yeah. Glad to be back on this episode, and yeah, number 30 is next week. So stay tuned for another great episode.
That's right. Number 30 coming up are 3 times 10. So, see you then.